Let's meet the starting goaltenders, brought to you as always by Tim Hortons, the official coffee of the NHL. Ilya Bryzgalov is here, but it is Devan Dubnyk who gets the start. 33 saves in Calgary Saturday in the win over the Flames. He has beaten Columbus 6 times in his career. And at the other end, it's 25-year-old Sergei Bobrovsky. He's making his 17th start of the year. Last year's Vezina Trophy winner, though, is winless against the Western Conference. Columbus again in the East. They were in Ottawa on Sunday afternoon. They won that game by the score of 4-1. The Oilers, of course, beating Calgary in Calgary 4-2 on Saturday. And we are underway. Nail Yakupov, Ales Hemsky, and Sam Gagner are up front. Justin Schultz back in the lineup, missed 8 with a groin injury. He is playing with a guy that has the puck right now, and that's Anton Belov. Belov chips it in, takes a hit there from Blake Comeau. Letestu with McKenzie and Comeau, the forward line to start for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are 7th in the Metro Division. And this is the second game of a 5-game road trip for them. They are going to play 6 straight times against Canadian teams. McKenzie goes up top with the first great scoring opportunity, and he missed the target. Derek McKenzie with a goal in Ottawa, almost got a goal here against the Edmonton Oilers. Gagner flips that puck down the ice, and that one goes out of play.
You know, something that's crept into the game this year on a regular basis for Edmonton is a little bit of a miscommunication. You'll see it here as this puck comes around the boards to Belov. Nice little chip here as it goes around, and he picks up the puck eventually. Out of the zone right here. And just kind of leaves it for Yakupov, but he's not there. And as a result, it's turned over and a great chance for Columbus.
And you wonder, Louis, with Anton Belov and Justin Schultz, those guys have not spent a lot of time together, and you wonder about a communication issue there. Smith with Perron and Gordon up front right now. Smith behind the net, going after it. The puck gets to the blue line and eventually gets worked out by Cam Atkinson. He's with Brendan Dubinsky and Boone Jenner. Ryan Murray, taken 2nd overall in 2012, wearing number 27. He is paired with James Wisniewski. Dubinsky throws it in the opposite corner. The Columbus Blue Jackets want to make a change. First of back-to-back games for them. They'll be in Calgary tomorrow as we take a look at the starting lineup. Brought to you by Boston Pizza, your hockey headquarters destination. Hall works that puck back to Schultz, but it was intercepted by Nick Foligno. Foligno, Umberger, and Johansson are the top line for the Columbus Blue Jackets. We talked about Ryan Johansson, the Vancouver native, who has really taken over in a scoring role. He had a power play goal against Ottawa. This is a team that was without Nathan Horton and Marian Gaborik.
Yeah, 2 big names.
Long shot there by Corey Potter, steered aside by Bobrovsky. As Hall plays it back to the point, Potter waiting for it. He'll get it to Eberle. Eberle, Nugent Hopkins, and Hall. Hall able to corral that puck. Now he'll center for Nugent Hopkins. He was tied up. Eberle couldn't get a stick on it. It slid right through the crease, but look at Hall buzzing. Back to Nugent Hopkins. Ryan Nugent Hopkins moves in, fans on the shot, stays with it, plays it back to the point. Potter with a one-time blast. Opportunity, Eberle scores. Jordan Eberle at the side of the net makes it 1-0. Louis, you talked about number 14 heating up.
In the right spot, and a real good shot here by Corey Potter. I thought Taylor Hall could have brought it to the net when he comes down the ice. He doesn't elect to shoot it, tries to pass it, but here tries to drive to the middle. The puck bounces around a little bit. And a nice job here by Nugent Hopkins. He fans on the shot, but he finds a way to get it back into a one-timer of Potter. And for Jordan Eberle, just going to the net like he likes to do. Look at, nobody knows he's there. Everybody puck watching, and he walks in and taps it home. Good first save on the blast by Potter, by Bobrovsky. But that trickle little effect goes right to number 14, and he bangs it home for a 1-0 lead.
Eberle, 4 goals in his last 5 games. He leads this team now with 6 goals, and the Oilers, 2 minutes and 37 seconds into the game, have the first goal. Potter and Nugent Hopkins pick up the helpers.
You know, good buzzing around the offensive zone, and as we've mentioned, and you just mentioned, Kevin, for Jordan Eberle, he's one of those streaky players. When he gets hot, he gets really hot. Good little play here by Nugent Hopkins to get it back. I like the one-timer. Gets to the puck quickly, Potter does, and for Jordan Eberle, he's not going to miss from there. Taps it home for his 6th.
Corey Potter gets his first point of the season. Missed 19 with back problems, playing in his 4th game of the year. And Nugent Hopkins now has 9 helpers on the season. The Oilers with all the shots. Columbus does not have a shot on Devan Dubnyk so far. The Oilers with 4. And they get a goal from Jordan Eberle. Luke Gazden takes a look, waits for traffic, throws it on to Bobrovsky. Acton was looking for that rebound. Jared Boll can't get going, stopped by Beloff, and shot back in by the Oilers. They make a change. 3-game homestand for the Oilers. That will continue against Florida on Thursday, Chicago on Monday, and we'll have all those games for you on Sportsnet. Nail Yakupov. Behind the net, checked by Letestu. Como's with it. McKenzie out in front. He had a great chance in the first period early on. Put it over top of the net.
That was a nice backtrack right there by Blake Como, catching Halashemsky, who's no slow customer through the neutral zone, but he doesn't relent. He keeps his feet moving, and nice little steal to deny the attack by Edmonton.
Gagne chips it in. Sam Gagne looking for his first goal of the season, playing in his 10th game of the year. Letestu dishes to Atkinson. Cam Atkinson. Stopped up there by Nick Schultz. Wisniewski kept it in briefly. There's Yakupov into the shift. Wisniewski with it now. 16 points on the season. He had 2/3 of the Gordie Howe hat trick in that game against Ottawa. Corey Potter takes his time. Long outlet pass for Perron. He was all tied up there by David Savard. Nick Schultz chased back in behind the net by Dubinsky. Here's a turnover. Atkinson trying to get a shot. Dubinsky will, and it's blocked, and that hit Corey Potter up high, and Corey Potter is hurt.
Oh, you can tell he's really feeling this one here, and always a scary moment when a puck comes up like that. And
Brandon Dubinsky right over there, Louis, to talk to Corey Potter.
It was nice to see him quickly up and heading to the bench. And for Corey Potter, just got back in line, only playing his 4th game. And right here, the shot's taken. And yeah, definitely right up in the face area.
And Corey Potter is headed down the tunnel. He is going to the dressing room.
Oh, and it's a good thing that the chin strap where it connects onto the helmet, that little piece of plastic, the U-shaped plastic, saved him a little bit there as that one hit him in the side of the face. So good to see him up. Go in and make sure everything's okay. But anytime a puck comes up and hits you in the face, always a scary moment.
Keep an eye on Corey Potter. So the Oilers down to 5 defensemen for the moment. Foligno back to the point, kept in by Jack Johnson. Beloff hit by Umberger as he sends it around the boards. Eberle can't get it out. Long shot by Feder Tootin, handled by Devan Dubnyk. Let's take a look at the keys to the game, brought to you by the 2013 Ford Super Duty. It's built Ford tough.
Well, Kevin, for the Edmonton Oilers tonight, puck pressure, and they want to play a more up-tempo game, especially in the offensive zone. Pressure the puck, hold that offensive blue line, and establish a real strong forechecking for the Blue Jackets. It's Crash Night. You saw on that last shift there, a little wrister from the blue line, but 3 big bodies driving into the blue paint. They want to make it a difficult night on Devan Dubnyk.
Murray throws it around the boards. An opportunity for the Oilers to get it out, and they'll take that opportunity. Here is David Perron, hopped over his stick, carrying on. Gordon from his knees, a backhand attempt. Dubinsky got in the way of that. Jeff Petrie will go back. No icing. He is paired, of course, with the captain, Andrew Ferentz, who gets it to Smith with a cheeky little back heel. And he gets it to Gordon. Must be watching World Cup qualifying.
Yeah, played some soccer. That was a nice little skate pass right there.
Jenner trying to bounce it off the boards. Can't do it. Jenner missed 9 with a leg injury. He is back in the lineup. Beloff pinching down, trying to keep that puck in, and it's picked up by Jenner. Boone Jenner gets to the red line, and he will dump that puck in. Kind of a name you'd hear on a fishing show.
That's a wicked name.
Show, eh?
Boone Jenner, a London kid, too, so you got to like him. From London, Ontario.
I wonder
Talked
why.
to him a little bit this morning about the old Gardens, where I used to play, and obviously the nice new Labatt Center there in London. But, yeah, Boone Jenner, that rolls off the tongue.
Jordan Eberle, 6 goals on the season. The Oilers with a 1-0 lead.
Well, Dallas Eakins on the bench this evening for the Edmonton Oilers, but he was not on the bench or at practice this morning on the part of Edmonton. That's because he had an appointment that he had to keep a dental appointment, in fact, and it is hard sometimes to get a dentist appointment. Not a very fun morning as he had to have a root canal. For the most part, he was comfortable and relaxed, except for when he heard the drill. But otherwise, he was open about it, and it wasn't like pulling teeth.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. The fourth line on the ice now for the Oilers. That is Will Acton with the puck in the corner. That's Joensuu. Stripped. There's Jared Bull, and he takes a hit. Joensuu, and then Joensuu got knocked down by Nikita Nikitin. Belloff fishing for it as well. Acton comes up with it, snaps a shot. Bobrovsky makes the save, and he'll hang on to it. So a good shift for that fourth line. They keep the puck in the offensive zone.
Good forward work done, too, battling away.
This perfectly preserved uniform came to us via a generous donation from our champion's wife.
Pick your winners today with Pools.
Well, here's that chance here. All three players battling along the wall, and a good little poke check to get it out to Acton in the slot. Good shot through and follows it up. He gets the faceoff in the offensive zone.
And it was won by Sam Gagner, who's behind the net now. Letestu watching him as Gagner gets it to the front. And Mark Letestu is there to take it away from him, but the Oilers able to keep that puck in briefly. A delayed offside that will allow Fedor Tutin to start the rush for Columbus. Just one shot for the Columbus Blue Jackets. 12:50 left to go in this first period. Nick Schultz checked by Como. The puck comes around the boards. Is picked up there by Yakupov. Outlet pass for Hemsky. Too far for him. Tutin will give it to Jack Johnson. Johnson plays it along the boards for Letestu. Too far for him, and that's going to be icing against Columbus.
Good puck pressure, good urgency here by Evans, and I like the fact they followed up shots with buzzing through that zone. Jeff Petrie, real solid night on Saturday in Calgary. Real strong performance by him, and the type of game that he likes to play, over 24 minutes, 3 hits, 2 block shots, and a +3. I'd say that was a pretty good night for the youngster on D. Jeff Petrie.
47 block shots on the season for him coming into this one. Eberle for Hall. Checked by Johnson. Hall gets it back again. Puck comes to Eberle. He goes up high, and Bobrovsky, who searches for that rebound. Letestu covered it. Nugent Hopkins digging for it as well, as is Hall. And it's funny, Louis, when you're going right, the puck seems to find you.
Yeah, no question. Good players, they have a sense of acting like a magnet when it comes to the puck. It seems to find them, but it's just because of that anticipation. For Jordan Eberle, has always had a sense of where to go on the ice. Throughout all the hockey that he's ever played in his career, and especially here in the National Hockey League, you just notice he knows how to jump to that little hole and be there at the right time. Right there, another good chance on the short side.
And an icing call coming up against Columbus. So give us a chance to give away a prize on behalf of the Safeway Score and Win contest and Imperial Margarine. Rhonda Rumlock of Edmonton has won the Men's Boulevard Marine Star Chronograph watch on the goal by Jordan Eberle, his 6th of the season. He's got 6 goals, 17 points, leads the team in every offensive category right now.
Yeah, good work down low to stay with the puck by Hall and Nugent Hopkins. They dig it loose. It comes right to Eberle and quickly gets that shot away, trying to handcuff Bobrovsky on the short side. Good save by him there.
Wisniewski to Murray. Murray missed all of his rookie year with a shoulder injury he suffered in junior.
Yeah, impressive how he stepped in this year too, Kevin. They've said he's been real consistent, a real good coachable young defenseman.
Davinsky looks for it in his skates. Now he'll play it to Cam Atkinson. It comes out in front. Atkinson gets it back to the point. Wisniewski steps into a slap shot deflected wide. Wisniewski's got that big cannon from the point. Now he'll go one-on-one against Smith. Ryan Smith waits as the Oilers make a change. He just dumps it in behind the net. Will Acton comes flying out against Atkinson. Atkinson waited for him to go by. Wisniewski with it now. He'll play it to the middle, and it's picked up there by Nick Foligno. Murray spins to try and get away from Gazdic. Wisniewski. 16 points on the season for him. Leads his team in assists and in points. Johansson centering pass. Umberger. Button hook, let a shot go, and that hit Andrew Ferentz. Came to the front, Petrie gathered it up. Jeff Petrie takes a hit from Johansson, and it's brought back in by Nick Foligno. He was stopped by Andrew Ferentz. Nikitin. Johansson. Kicks it ahead, and now he'll get to the blue line. and he gave it to Umberger. He was in traffic. Joensuu was right there, and Gazdic sends it down the ice.
It's a real good shift by the fourth line of Edmonton out against the top line of Columbus to shut them down, not allow them to get into the offensive zone. That's a battle won right there between two lines, a fourth and a first.
And two good shifts for the fourth line back-to-back, and more good news is that Corey Potter is back on the bench.
Yeah, good for him. You know, obviously missed a lot of time at the start of the season with back spasms and an injury, and went down to Oklahoma City, gets back in the lineup. Good to see him not injured in that puck that hit him in the face.
Rogers Oilers hockey from Rexall Place, 1-0 for Edmonton.
Ilya Bryzgalov just getting used to life in Edmonton, and he had a nice second evening in the Alberta capital. Spent some time going out for dinner. A group of Russian players, including teammate Anton Belov, went out for Italian food, which looks pretty good at this point in time. Columbus also has a handful of Russian players. Artem Anisimov was one of them, but in the end it was Fedor Tutin who bought dinner. One of the other Russian players told me that, so it wasn't a case of him tooting his own horn.
Columbus with the most Russians in the National Hockey League, 4 of them in all. And the Oilers catching up, they've got 3. A total of 27 Russian-born players playing in the National Hockey League this year. Sam Gagner drops it for Ales Hemsky. Hemsky across the blue line. Great pass for Yakupov. Speaking of Russians, and he rifled that one just wide. Louis, that's what he does. Here's Belov with a shot, then Bobrovsky makes the save.
Yeah, you can just see him looking.
If you drive on snow and ice, you don't want all-season tires. You want all-weather tires. Get Nokian's most advanced all-weather tire, the WRG3 at Cal Tire.
Well, Kevin Yakupov with 2 goals in his last 4 games here, just in the wheelhouse, and a perfect pass down the ice to find him open in a one-time position. Just misses it, but you like to see him pulling the trigger off the rush on the attack, and didn't miss by much there.
He had an assist in the game against Calgary. He's got 6 points on the season. Here's David Perron cutting for the net. Savard watching him as Perron plays it back to the point. Petrie gives it right back to Perron, gets it back again. Now down low to Ferentz. Ferentz, slap pass for Ryan Smith, hit the side of the net. Here's Perron again. Gets away from Dubinsky, still has it from his knees, couldn't get a shot away. Great effort by number 57. Dubinsky flips that puck in. Atkinson going after it against Ferentz, who sends it around the boards. Perron waiting for it on the far side. He'll play it to Smith. Ryan Smith stops inside the blue line. Dumps that puck in, lets the Oilers make a change. 8.5 minutes to go in this first period. The Oilers with 8 shots, the Blue Jackets with 1. They were outshot 30-22 in the game in Ottawa. Johansson moving through, and a penalty coming up. And it's going to be an interference call, and Nick Foligno is headed to the box after he collided with Nick Schultz.
Yeah, on the rush, and a real nice move here by Johansson. And right before that, as he comes over the line, just a little delay separates, but you can see the moving pick, if you want to call it, by Foligno, as he pretty much steamrolls Schultz, who's looking to go after Johansson on the left-hand side. And he'll go to the box for 2. Knew right away that it was an infraction, and Schultz no worse for wear.
Oilers special teams have been on a steady rise. 6 power play goals in their last 7 games. They are now 19th in the league on the power play, and they go to work for the first time in this game. Nail Yakupov. 3 power play goals for him. Centering passes. Perron with a shot. It sits in the crease. It's home. David Perron. A power play goal. And the Oilers lead 2-0.
And a great job by David Perron to stay with this puck as Yakupov makes a real nice move here. Gets the pass from Hopkins, walks around Anisimov here, keeps going down low, and finds Perron. Watch how quickly from skate right to his stick, takes the first shot, but then follows it up and tucks it home as Bobrovsky. I don't think expected this puck to come through. Ties him up into a little bit of a knot as it goes off the inside of his pad and sits on the doorstep for Perron, who bashes it home for a 2-0 lead.
He's got 6 goals on the year. Half of them have come on the power play. 12:01 the time of the goal. Nail Yakupov gets another helper, and that's 2 assists in his last 2 games. And a penalty coming now to Luke Gazdic. Luke Gazdic's going to get called for tripping. Well, the Oilers will celebrate the goal, but now their penalty killers will go to work. Well, our next score and win winner, courtesy of Safeway and Imperial Margarine, is Rose Pomelazar of Edmonton, who's won the DVD prize back from E1 on the power play goal by David Perron.
And as you mentioned, Kevin, Luke Gazdic will go to the sin bin here for a couple of minutes after extending the left leg out there, taking down Anisimov. Going into the corner, so the first power play for Columbus coming up here.
And their power play was red hot in that game against Ottawa on Sunday. They went 3 for 5 after going 0 for 10 the previous 3 games. A power play that is ranked 7th in the league on the road. The Oilers 18th in the penalty kill at home. They've allowed just 1 power play goal in the last 3 games. Under pressure here as the puck comes back to Wisniewski. Wisniewski will give it to Dubinsky and get it right back again. He fires a shot through traffic. Other opportunity for Johansson. That one blocked before it could get through as Petrie was there. Johansson with it now. Petrie and Ference along with Gordon and Smith. They'll change up. Acton jumps over the boards and Bobrovsky having a little bit of trouble. And did he play that in the no-go zone?
I'm thinking that he did. It looked like he touched it, but he blew a wheel as he went in there. So maybe he had let go of it before he started to lose control.
58 seconds left to go in the power play. Another blown wheel. Acton trying to take advantage as Murray lost an edge. Atkinson brings it in with Umberger and Foligno. Stopped by Acton, and Will Acton fires that puck down the ice.
Nice backtracking there by Acton to get right back into the play after it turns over, and was able to dig that one loose, put it down the ice.
Taylor Hall and Sam Gagner, the penalty killers up front now. Feder Tootin plays it off the boards for Atkinson. Too far for him, and Nick Schultz is there to send it out. So the power play for the Columbus Blue Jackets that was so effective in Ottawa has not gotten set up here. And there's 22 seconds left. Foligno in the corner being watched by Ference. Ties him up. Atkinson in to help out. He'll get the puck to Foligno. Turns, plays it back to the point. Johnson keeps it in. Tootin with it now. Tootin cross ice. Here's Foligno with a shot. He Boone-Jenner in front, but it is Hall who sends it down the ice, and that will do it. With a penalty to Gazdic, and the folks here at Rexall Place appreciate the fact that the special teams for the Oilers are starting to come alive.
Yeah, real solid penalty kill for Edmonton. Has been much better as of late. Only 3 power play goals against in the last 10 games for them.
Yakupov slides it through the paint, and Nail Yakupov draws another penalty. Schultz with a shot through traffic. Pad save by Bobrovsky, and he has to cover up, and the Oilers are going on the power play. David Perron makes it 2-0. The Oilers look for more on the power play when we come back.
Time to play Safeway's $1 million score and win. If any Oilers player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Lisa Robertson of Hinton could win $1 million. Shop and swipe at Safeway, and you could be our next lucky winner right here on Sportsnet.
And the Oilers, Kevin, going back on the power play for their second of the night. Savard for slashing on Yakupov, and a real nice rush by him here. Look at this move to the inside, tries to go wide. That little slash there by Savard on the wrist. The last second is why he's heading to the box. And a good job afterwards to follow it up with another solid opportunity, getting pucks to the net. Bobrovsky's had to be sharp here early on.
2 quality chances for Yakupov and 1 helper. The Oilers out-chancing the Columbus Blue Jackets 6-1 to this point. Here's David Perron. Pushes it to Hall. Hall with a wrist shot, and that is blocked by Jack Johnson. Nugent Hopkins gets it to Everly. Right back to Hall at the point. Being watched there by Mark Letestu. Johnson knocks down Everly. And it's picked up now by Mark Letestu, and he'll send it down the ice. Knocked down with a high stick.
Good battle down low there by the Blue Jackets not to allow Edmonton to set up on this power play. Good quick pressure. Turns it over. When you look for trends that happen with teams in certain buildings for the Columbus Blue Jackets in the last 3 seasons, 0-5-0 here. Look at the power play, 2 for 19. We saw that first one they had only 1 chance. And on the penalty kill, 6 power play goals against. So, a building that hasn't been too nice to them.
March 28th. Last year was the last time they were here. They lost the game 6-4, and as you saw, they've lost 5 straight in this building. You have to go back to 2009 for the last time Columbus won here at Rexall. Gagner with the puck now, being watched by Anisimov. Hemsky plays it back to Belloff, quickly over to Schultz. Justin Schultz to Hemsky. Belloff steps into a shot, and he hammered that puck wide. Then hustles over and keeps the puck in. Murray intercepted it, but look at Beloff at the point. Dubinsky trying to clear it. He wouldn't allow that. Hemsky on the near side now. 44 seconds of power play time remaining. Second power play for the Oilers. Hemsky down low for Gagne. Gagne flips it across. What a play. What a pass. And it's finished off by Ryan Smith. Another power play goal for the Oilers. It's 3-0.
And I think he knocks this one out of the air, Kevin. So great hand-eye coordination by the KG vet in front, somewhere he's been his whole career. Nice little passing play here as Gagne gets it wide. Hemsky, a little massaging of the puck. Eventually back down low to Gagne. Watch this pass. Sauce over top of the sprawling body of Murray, who goes down to try and take it away. And out of the air, Ryan Smith, little baseball swing. Little half bunt.
Into the net for a 3-0 lead. The Oilers were 0 for 2 in the game against Calgary. They're 2 for 2 here tonight. And Ryan Smith has his 4th goal of the year. Ryan Smith with 45 points in 46 career games against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Gagne and Hemsky pick up the helpers at 16:06.
And Gagne's had good success against the Blue Jackets as well, who picked up an assist there. 21 points now in 23 games played against Columbus in his career. So 3 assists in the last 3 games for Gagne. Nice little lob pass here, if you want to call it that, in the alley-oop. And he bangs it home.
Well, Ryan Smith, 2 points in his last 2 games and an assist in the game against Calgary. And the Oilers, who had 4 goals in Calgary on Saturday, have got 3 here in the first period on 12 shots. Here they come again. Hall with the puck now. Hall in the corner, checked by Nikitin. It comes to Nugent Hopkins, plays it back to the point to Petrie, trying to get that puck through traffic. Top line against top line right now. Savard knocked down by Hall. Great job to get it to Eberle. Turns, fires, stopped by Nikita Nikitin. Taylor Hall using his body to create chances.
I'll tell you, when you're going that fast, you don't have to be that big for Taylor Hall. He is a solid customer, but had so much speed that just that little pop separates body from puck and makes a nice play to Eberle.
Puck ends up behind the net. Here is Ryan Smith, tied up there by Savard. The play still alive. And it's picked up now by Jenner. He'll get the puck to Dubinsky. Moving in with Atkinson. Cleared away nicely by Potter. Atkinson races over to the near side. He'll try to get it to Dubinsky. It gets by him. Boone Jenner will pick it up far side. Boone Jenner looks for Dubinsky. Picked off there by Nick Schultz. Perron trying to get it out against Tootin. Can't do it. Jenner with the puck now. Jenner in the corner. He'll give it to Atkinson. Snaps a shot. Stopped by Gordon. Another chance. Whiffed on it. And now Ryan Smith will take the opportunity to play it off the glass and get that puck down the ice. Just over 2 minutes left, and that's just the 3rd shot by the Columbus Blue Jackets in this period. Ales Hemsky given a bump, but Yakupov carries on along with Sam Gagne. Gagne across the blue line. He takes a hit from Fedor Tootin as he gets it to Yakupov. Yakupov, and he is given a bump by Tootin. Gagne plays it around the near side. Hemsky picks it up. Back to the point. Anton Beloff to Yakupov. Yakupov plays it out in front, and Hemsky just a half a stride late. And Anisimov got there to intercept, but Gagne keeps it in. Schultz at the point. The Columbus Blue Jackets hemmed up in their own zone. The Oilers able to make a change and get their 4th line out there. Joensuu with a big hit there on Michael Chaput. Intercepted by Murray, though, and Murray will bring it in. Murray plays it back to Wisniewski, and he'll have to go back and regroup. Blake Como across the blue line. McKenzie hammers a shot. That was blocked off the stick of Jeff Petrie. The Oilers 3rd in the league in blocked shots. We're under a minute this first period. Will Acton with the puck now. Acton with a backhand. Bobrovsky through traffic. Here's Ferris with a shot. Bobrovsky to save. The puck sits there for Acton, and then Bobrovsky covers up as Acton was tied up with Murray. And now a little pushing and shoving between Gazdic and McKenzie. And Joensuu in there as well, and it looks like everybody's
Well, that's a good sign, Kevin. That's a good sign when you're getting in scrums in the offensive blue paint. That means you're crashing the net, getting involved, and making it hard on the goaltender. For Bobrovsky, boy, he's had to come up with some big saves here in this first period. Also, it'd be a lot worse than 2-0 Edmonton. This one here takes a funny hop, and then Ference gets it there quickly again through traffic, and everybody just pile drives in there for Acton. Just can't find this puck in the feet. Gets taken out, but a couple real high-quality chances.
Well, by swiping a free club card, Neil Tawo from Leduc is our next winner in the score and win contest. He's won the Garmin Newbie 2597 LMT GPS courtesy of Safeway and Imperial Margin. Congratulations. That was on the goal by Ryan Smith, his 19th career goal against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Devin Dubnyk lays it around the boards. Hall waiting for on the near side. He gets checked there by R.J. Umberger. Eberle on the far side. He'll give it to Ference. The captain returns the favor. Here comes Jordan Eberle. Moving in with Hall. Eberle backhand. Bobrovsky, the blocker save. Eberle then gets knocked down by a big man in the form of Jack Johnson. 238 pounds. Number 7. Petrie behind the net. Nugent Hopkins in there to try and help out. Johansson knocked him down. Foligno comes up with a puck. He'll play it back to Tootin. And a pass intercepted on its way to Johnson right at the horn. What a period for the Edmonton Oilers, Brad Fay. They outshoot the Jackets 15-3, get 2 power play goals, and they lead 3-0.
About as good as it's been, no question, Kevin, for the Oilers this season when it comes to a 20-minute stretch. We'll talk about it with Brad May when we come back. We'll also take you around the National Hockey League. As I mentioned in the pregame show, it is a night chock full of Canadian content. We've got it for you coming up. 3-0. The Oil full value. They scored early, they scored often, and they lead the Blue Jackets, frustrating the Vezina Trophy winner in the process.
Oh, yes. Welcome back to the Alberta Capital. Got a Christmas tree in the background there, and it's been a night where the gifts keep on giving. Right? The Edmonton Oilers taking advantage of a Columbus Blue Jackets team. And, you know, Dallas Eakins has said often in the last little while, we really need that first goal, especially at home. And it could have maybe not gone that way tonight.
Well, we're always looking sort of for signs of improvement. Let's face it, this team's had a tough start, and we're starting to see some things come together. I want to take you back to the first shift of the game. You're going to see Anton Belov make a play that you just can't make when the coach starts you. He gives it away. Boom. There's the puck on a Columbus stick and almost in the net. This is a play that earlier in the year, Gene, once this happened, it would be followed by another, and followed by another, and followed by another. But not tonight. This is what it was followed by a few minutes later. Watch 14 on the side of the net there, poke one in. What I'm trying to say here is the team's level of fragility is a little stronger. They can make a mistake early in this game, come on and have likely is that their best period of the season? Certainly their best period of the season at home.
When you look at the Edmonton Oilers record, it goes hand in hand with the fact it's difficult to play your bottom forwards because of the fact you're always trying to chase the other team. Tonight, it's been a different story. What kind of an advantage is that for Edmonton?
Well, you know, Dallas Eakins has been trying to run 4 lines, and because his team has trailed so much of the season, he hasn't been able to play his 4th line. You're going to watch a shift here of the Gazdic, Acton, and the Joensuu line where they control the puck. This is an opportunity for Eakins to play his 4th line and the 4th line to get some ice time. Gazdic took a pretty suspect tripping penalty that almost hurt him. Eakins went back to him, gave that line some more ice time. They're on pace now for about a 9-minute game, which isn't a lot. But if you're an effective, functional hockey team, you got a 4th line with some size that you can get on the ice for 9 or 10 minutes. Tonight, that's exactly what the Edmonton Oilers are.
Yeah, when they play like that, it's the other team that's feeling some Eakins and pains. Kevin and Louie.
All right, guys, let's take a look quickly. The first period scoring summary brought to you by Worley Parsons Cord.
Jordan Eberle got things started, Kevin, with his 6th goal of the year. David Perron followed up with his 6th on the power play. And then Ryan Smith with a bat out of the air for his 4th to make it 3-0 in that first period. Out shooting Columbus Blue Jackets 15-3, so they were all over.
Justin Schultz, 7 minutes, 10 seconds in that first period. In his first game back, had a shot, had a hit. Playing with Anton Belov, they start the second period. Nail Yakupov will give it to Belov. Off the boards for Gagne, tipped in. Hemsky gives chase and throws a hit against Fedor Tootin. Blake Como gets to center, and he'll dump that puck in. Justin Schultz turns on a dime there. Takes a hit from Como, and McKenzie able to keep it in. Here is Schultz again, and he knocked that puck down, but he did it with a high stick.
Community Foundation and the Oilers Copper Jackets are once again getting into the Christmas spirit by hosting the signature luncheon in support of the Christmas Bureau of Edmonton on Friday, December 13th. Attendees will enjoy great food, live holiday music, and both a live and silent auction featuring unique items and experiences. To purchase tickets to this festive event in support of the Christmas Bureau of Edmonton, please visit OilersFoundation.ca.
15-3, the shots on goal through the first period. The Oilers outshot at Calgary 35-23, but a completely different story tonight. As the Oilers, instead of having to make a furious comeback, Louis, have started with a great start. And as the guys were talking about, probably the best period this year.
Yeah, best first period this year by far. You know, coming out of the gates, firing that many shots on net, getting rewarded with a couple power play goals, and leaving after the first 20 with a 3-0 lead. We haven't seen that too much with Edmonton this year. So the start they wanted, they capitalized on their opportunities, and now it's important to continue it forward for the next 40.
David Perron brings it across the line. Lets a shot go. Bobrovsky the save. The Oilers making a change, just coming back the other way. Johansson. Ryan Johansson with a sharp angle shot up high on Devin Dubnyk. A big rebound is gobbled up there by Hall, and a quick outlet pass to Eberle. Eberle moving in against Johnson. Eberle, button hook. Johnson takes him into the boards. The puck sits there. The Oilers get control. Send it up high. Nugent Hopkins throws it to the middle. Petter Tutin is there to get it away for Foligno. Foligno chips it by Potter. Moving in with Umberger. Foligno toe drag shot. And that one missed the target. Johnson with a trip up on Hall. And play continues.
Taylor Hall wasn't too happy about that, but he definitely got taken down. Wasn't dirty, just kind of stick into the feet. They looked around to say, hey, we going on the power play or what?
Fourth line is out there now. Will Active circles his net. Plays it along the boards, trying to get it to Gazdic. Gets picked off there by Foligno. Foligno will backhand it.
Scrap here, Gazdic and Bull.
Gazdic and Bull drop the gloves. And Luke Gazdic, his 7th fight of the season.
So he's a warrior. Both these guys fight similar too, Kevin.
Yep.
Like to stretch each other out and look for the big right hand.
Both guys have been very active for Jared Bull. This is his 6th tilt of the year. Gazdic takes one shot from Bull, comes back with his own. That right hand to his knees, gets up, uppercut by Bull. Both guys swinging big. Here's Gazdic with a haymaker and kind of stunned Bull. He comes back with his own right hands. Both guys looking for home runs with the right hands.
It's how they fight. They both stretch each other out. Both of them with big right hands. And for Gazdic trying to look for the counter. Bull too. Both guys very experienced in this, and they finally come in and break it up in two guys, as you mentioned, Kevin, swinging for the fences.
Luke Gazdic fought on Saturday against another tough customer in the form of McGrattan.
Yeah, big customer in Brian McGrattan. And the little words here off the face-off, let's dance, and little smiles. And, you know, a real nice showing by the young Gazdic against a true heavyweight in the league. So it was a step up, a real good test. Nice little tap after. Thanks for the scrap. Good job. Another thumbs up there. Two guys that really respect each other. And in this one here, Jared Bull, another guy that's been around the block quite a few times and knows his way around a scrap or two. They have a good one there. No worse for wear.
Ryan Johansson trying to get pucks to the net in the second period.
Yeah, we've talked about the nice progression of Johansson's game over the last few years, and just a nice little move with the blue line to separate, get through, and then a nice high shot from that wing. And here's that tripping call as Johnson, or tripping no call, as Johnson takes down Hall after the little trip. And you can even see Johnson looking at the referee. Did he get me? I guess he didn't. So no call on that play. But things heating up down there. You knew that was about to happen. 3-0 for Edmonton for Jared Bull. He knows his role. He has to get something going, so he goes out and taps Gazdic, and the younger Gazdic ready to go at any time.
Jared Bull fought 12 times last year in the shortened season.
Yeah, he's always been a real active pugilist and an assistant captain for that reason, the way he shows up to play each and every night.
David Perron will take the Gazdic spot on that fourth line, as Gazdic and Bull both sit for the next 5 minutes. So Luke Gazdic, at least right now, has the league lead in fights. It's 7. Took a funny hop off the stanchion, stayed in the Oilers zone. Anisimov with a backhand pass for Michael Chaput. Chaput circles the net. A Anisimov shot, and that one didn't make it through. Shot from Savard, again blocked by the Oilers. Jesse Yonsu. Belloff retreats. He'll play it off the glass, looking for Perron. Perron against David Savard. And offside the call, and the guys didn't hear the whistle right away.
Pro Hockey Life, the ultimate hockey megastore.
Well, Dallas Eakins' trip to the dentist. He saw that first chance by Atkinson. It could have felt worse than a root canal, but it has been a great period for the Oilers. And the head coach sees his team get the first goal for the first time in the last 10 games. And he's got to be breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief.
Yeah, no question about it. Looking for their first win here since October 7th. So a building that hasn't been the greatest place to play for Edmonton. They've come up short more often than not this year, but trying to get it back on track. And we saw the record of the Columbus Blue Jackets 0 in their last 5 in this building. So maybe the perfect recipe to get something going here on home ice for Edmonton.
Blue Jackets and Oilers will hook up again later in this month. November 29th in Columbus. Long shot there by Letestu, blocked aside by Devin Dubnyk. 7 shots now for the Blue Jackets, so 4 in this period. Yakupov, quick up for Gagne. Gagne given a bump by Wisniewski. Murray in the corner, leaves it there for Boone Jenner, gets it back to James Wisniewski. To the middle to his D partner Murray. On the fly is Cam Atkinson, crisscrossing with Dubinsky. Dubinsky races in as that backhand went wide. He'll turn in the corner. Dubinsky behind the net. Good play by Petrie to break up that pass intended for Atkinson. Atkinson stays with it, looking in the middle for Jenner. Here is Johnson in deep. Now he'll give it to Atkinson. Atkinson, and a penalty coming up. And Boone Jenner was in front battling with Jeff Petrie. And Boone Jenner is going to head to the penalty box for cross-checking.
Boone Jenner, a big body as well. A guy that had a terrific last year in his last year of junior. As he goes to the box for cross-checking right there on Andrew Ference. But for Jenner playing in Oshawa last year, broke out with 45 goals and has stepped into the National Hockey League. I guess Ference is going to go to the box too, as they felt he embellished that cross-check by Jenner.
Well, both guys sit.
Didn't like that too much.
15:27 to go in the second period. Jenner and Ference in the penalty box will play 4-on-4. And the Oilers take a timeout.
Canada Post NHL stamps and souvenirs. Available at your local post office or online at canadapost.ca/NHL.
Ilya Bryzgalov in his first game on the Oilers bench. You look over his career numbers, goals against average and save percentage, where he would rank right now projected this year in the National Hockey League. But if you look at the last 5 full seasons that he's played in the National Hockey League, 26 or more wins, Kevin, and last year in the short season, 19 wins in Philadelphia. But obviously, the press, the gong show, rodeo show, whatever you want to call it for Bryzgalov, but he wants a clean start. And I like that he went down, played a couple games in Oklahoma City, is now up here backing up Devin Dubnyk. Will get this shot eventually. And I've seen him play in the past firsthand in Phoenix. When he's on his game, one of the best in the game.
09-10 season, he won 42 games in the desert. Johnson, backtracked by Hall. He's out there with Nugent Hopkins. Hall winds up, moving in against Fedor-Tutin. Nice move, and then he gets hauled down, and play continues. Taylor Hall tackled in front. No call. Hall with the puck now. Hall turns, trying to throw it towards the net. Johnson blocked it. It stays in, and Hall goes right after it. Here's Hall trying to get by Tutin, and he gets knocked down again by Fedor-Tutin, and he'll head to the bench, a frustrated number 4.
Yeah, he's wondering what he has to do to get a call. It looked like he got interfered with driving to the net in the first one there. Tutin's stick gets caught up in him there. We saw him get tripped earlier by Johnson, but when Taylor Hall's moving his feet and driving the way he can, That's how he's going to draw penalties. Just hasn't got rewarded yet.
Foligno and Anisimov are up front for the Blue Jackets as Foligno took a shot up high from Potter, came back at him briefly. It is Hemsky and Yakupov. Here's Yakupov to Hemsky. Alex Hemsky cutting in. Stop by Bobrovsky. Great setup for Alex Hemsky from Nail Yakupov. And Louis, you've said it. Nail Yakupov feeling it tonight.
Yeah, he is feeling it. He's moving his feet. He's been driving, been skating, been setting up. He's been the setup man in this game here. And Hemsky with a lot of speed in that last rush. But both of those guys starting to feel a little chemistry together. They've been together now for a few games with Sam Gagner. So starting to feel the love and connecting.
10 seconds left of 4-on-4 hockey. David Perron with a quick pass to Eberle. Petrie joins the play as well. Eberle gets it to Petrie down low. Bumped into by Nikitin. Perron carries on. Penalty is over. Both Ferentz and Jenner back on the ice. We're 5-on-5. 13:20 to go here in the second period. 17-7. The shots favor the Oilers in a 3-0 lead. Jenner gets by Belloff, puts it behind the net. Brandon Dubinsky out in front. It comes. Cam Atkinson knocked down before he could get to it by Anton Belloff. Ryan Smith drop pass for Perron. Perron cross ice for Schultz. Schultz knocks it out of the air and he knocked it just wide. David Savard to Atkinson. He's got Dubinsky and Jenner with him. Atkinson back to Jenner. Jenner. Nice play by Belloff to break it up. Anton Belloff, a quiet guy in the dressing room. He's got 4 assists on the season. Picked up a helper in Calgary.
Yeah, that was a great stick right there. And it looked like it went out in a rush for the Columbus Blue Jackets as Schultz was skating to get back. But Belloff, with a nice poke check, breaks it up.
Alex Hemsky has 14 career goals against Columbus. Almost got 15.
Well, personal preference is always very visible when it comes to a goaltender's mask, and that is the case for Devan Dubnyk. The front certainly has the Oiler colors, but it's more about what is on the other side. And it starts with his son, Nathaniel Cruz Dubnyk. 8 pounds, 1.5 ounces when he was born, and there is what is on the back plate of Devan Dubnyk's mask. A picture of him in his father's hands, and then on the back of his mask when he was born and his initials. And if this continues tonight, both father and son will both be sleeping like a baby.
Dave Gunnarsson of Dave Art did the good work there. It's kind of cool now. Guys can really show their personalities and make personal expressions. He'll keep that mask for a while. Devan Dubnyk, 6-3-2 lifetime against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Lou, when he's pushed, he responds.
Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit, and Devan Dubnyk seems to have that other goalie that's pushing him to be his best. That's typically when he does play his best hockey. So for Bryzgalov being here, maybe pushing Devan Dubnyk the last little while, knowing that he was coming in years past, we've seen him have that little bit of a battle as well. Now, it's a friendly battle, don't get me wrong, but for Devan Dubnyk, the Big Easy, he seems to bring out his best hockey when he senses that, hey, I might not be the guy. He wants to be the guy between the pipes.
Interesting to see what Bryzgalov will put on his mask. It's currently pure white, an empty canvas.
Trendsetter.
Eberle, Hall, Nugent Hopkins up front. Just under 12 minutes to go as in this second period, Nugent Hopkins and Umberger collide. Here's Hall, drop pass for Eberle. Eberle taken down there by R.J. Umberger. The puck's still loose. Eberle in the corner. They'll get it to Hall. Being watched by Murray. Centering pass. Potter gets it to Schultz. Nick Schultz throws it towards the net. That goes up and hits the netting. And we get a whistle.
Good battle down low there. And for Nick Schultz, just trying to get that puck through quickly to the net. Didn't want to really tee it up and lose control. Wanted to try and fire it through. Good deflection up over the glass, so it'll stay in the offensive zone. The face-off will, but all the defense for Edmonton tonight, including Nick Schultz, doing a better job of being aggressive on that offensive blue line, not backing out quickly, and that's all part of that puck pressure we talked about and trying to keep more time.
David Perron upstairs makes it 4-0. His second goal of the game as he picked the top corner. And David Perron now has 7 goals on the year.
Oops. Sorry, Kev.
That was quick.
That was pretty quick off the faceoff. I thought it was a lost draw. But very quickly, David Perron picks it up. I don't know how it eventually just got on his stick here. We'll see. He just kind of takes it from a real sharp angle. This guy loves to shoot the puck from everywhere. But look at the head. You know, nice little back pass by Smith. That's what it was, right on the tape of Perron. But head up the whole way. He picked that spot up over the shoulder, Bobrovsky, and just drilled it home. And we're going to see a goaltending change here.
Curtis McElhinney comes in. His last start was November 15th against Montreal. He is 1-2-1 with a 1.94 goals against and a .936 save percentage. He comes on in relief of Sergei Bobrovsky as David Perron at 8:30 from Ryan Smith and number 27 Boyd Gordon chase Bobrovsky from the net, and Curtis McElhinney is in. And he is facing the Oilers for the first time in his career.
Yeah, and he hasn't seen a whole lot of action this year. Obviously, Bobrovsky is the goalie that's played a lot of the games, and 16 and only 5 appearances for McElhinney. So for Bobrovsky, getting the rest of the night off here obviously isn't his night, isn't his team's night. Only 8 shots on net, being outshot 18-8. If it wasn't for him in that first 20, Kevin, this game would have been out of control after the first 20, but he held him in there. And unfortunately for him, 4 have gotten by him. And credit the Oilers with keeping the pressure on and shooting from everywhere.
Curtis McElhinney spent last year in the minors. He has played a total of 74 games in the National Hockey League and won 20 of them. And he is out there now. David Perron with 2 goals on the night. Ryan Smith with a goal and an assist. And the Oilers with a 4-0 lead. They put up a 4 spot in Calgary, and they come from behind victory. Now they have been front runners in this game. 3 goals in the first period. Perron adds to the lead. Anisimov taking a bump there from Joensuu. And this allows, as the guys talked about in between periods, Dallas Eakins to run all 4 lines, something he has wanted to do all year. And it keeps happening because we keep giving away prizes. Melinda Lenz of Edmonton won a Swipe the Free Club card at the Apple Safeway and the Imperial Martin, folks. You've won a Hoover Wind Tunnel multi-cyclonic bagless canister on the goal by David Perron at 8:30 of the second period. So Perron takes over the team lead in goals. He's got 7 on the season.
Yeah, that was a goal scorer's goal. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of room there, but he found it. And we're seeing that so often now in today's game. Pucks being thrown to the net from all different angles, looking for that type of a goal or a rebound. And for Perron, he knew where he was going the whole way.
Gagne racing after it, down along with Yakupov. Yakupov tracking down Letestu, takes the puck away from him, and then gets knocked down and draws a penalty. And Nail Yakupov getting up a little bit slowly. Johnson over there to have a word with him, but the Oilers will go to their 3rd power play when we come back as Johnson is in the box. Perron celebrates.
Another week of NFL action kicks off on Sportsnet this Thursday as the high-flying New Orleans Saints visit the Atlanta Falcons, who shockingly have only 2 wins in their first 10 games. It all kicks off at 6 p.m. Mountain on Sportsnet West, Pacific East, and Ontario.
Jack Johnson's in the penalty box for holding on Nail Yakupov. Didn't like the call too much, but for Yakupov, great backtracking, steals the puck. And right there, the right arm of Johnson just kind of reaches in and takes down Yakupov as he tries to go to Mill. Thought there was a little embellishment there, and let Yakupov know afterwards that he didn't win the fight, and he'll hopefully, from his part, sit for 2.
3rd power play for the Oilers, 2 for 2. They have generated 3 shots. Ryan Smith and David Perron, the goal scorers, with a man advantage. The Oilers with 8 power play goals in their last 8 games. Nugent Hopkins to Hall. That was broken up by Wisniewski. And 5 forwards on this power play. Perron intercept, wrist shot. McElhinney the save. Yakupov the goal. Yakupov. Power play goal. It's 5-0.
Well, I'll tell you, Kevin, you can see this building for Nail Yakupov. One of his best games of the year, if not his best game of the year. Just the way he's been moving his feet, the way he's been all over it, attacking, backtracking, skating. And this one eventually finds its way on a nice little pick-off right there by Perron. He's got two already looking for three, so you know he's going to shoot that puck. And a good first save by McElhinney. But Nail Yakupov just finds himself to the net, drives to the hole, and as Wisniewski is taking the net off the... What do you call those things?
Moorings?
Moorings, thank you. Off the moorings. He puts it home before it goes off, or right as it goes off. So I'm sure they're going to review this a little bit here as Wisniewski was in the process of knocking that net off, but no chance for McElhinney on that rebound. And I'm not sure if they're going to take this one away. It looked like it might have just been coming off as the puck was going through. Oh, that's a goal. It was in before they went off, so a real nice shot by Yakupov into the back of the net. Did make no mistake about it. A 5-0 lead for the Edmonton Oilers.
And 3 of those 5 goals on the power play.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the overhead here as Wisniewski's going in. Ooh, it's right about the same time, but I think in that regard, you got to call that one a goal.
After video review, the Edmonton player was in the process of shooting the puck, so regardless of whether the net is on or off, the goal still...
And there it is. Nail Yakupov gets his 4th goal of the season. All 4 goals for Nail Yakupov this year have been on the power play. And David Perron picks up a helper. So David Perron with a 3-point night. And the Oilers perfect with a man advantage.
Yeah, and it was Perron's, great interception.
And a huge save there by Devin Dubnyk.
And he thought there should have been a penalty there.
Knocks the stick out of his hands.
He was wondering why there wasn't. He had a little conversation with the referee afterwards as he came through, but a nice little rush right off the face-off here by Columbus. Nice pass into the middle, and for Johansson, who I think has been a real solid player for Columbus tonight, goes to the backhand, gets denied. Here's the goal once again as Wisniewski. You can tell he kind of was like, I got to get this off the moorings, but just not in time, as Yakupov, as the referee said, was in the motion of shooting into the wide open net. So regardless of what happened or when it came off, it was going to count as a goal, and that was a good call.
So Yakupov draws the penalty and then finishes it off on a power play. 5-0. 20 shots. They have held the Blue Jackets to 8. Nikitin. Umberger for Foligno, picked off by Hemsky. He'll shoot it back in. The Oilers make a change. 8 minutes, 37 seconds to go in the second period. Tipped in by R.J. Umberger. Devin Dubnyk will swing it around the boards. Justin Schultz is there. Checked by Artem Anisimov. Michael Chaput throws a check against Boyd Gordon. As it comes back to the point, Wisniewski with a wrist shot through traffic, and that one missed. Murray trying to keep it in. Can't do it. Wisniewski to Chaput. He'll tip it in. Anisimov gets there first, taken into the boards nicely by Anton Belov. Gordon dumps that puck in, and the Oilers able to get another change in, rolling those 4 lines, and it's the 4th line that's out there now. Will Acton starts away with Gazdic. He'll send it around the boards. Joensuu waiting for it there. Checked by Murray. The puck goes up in the air, and it's Gazdic. He's got Acton out in front. Backhand out in front. It comes off Wisniewski's skate, and McElhinney had to be sharp as James Wisniewski almost put it in his own net. Atkinson. He'll play it around the boards. It gets by Dubinsky. Now it comes out in front. Dubinsky, an opportunity, couldn't get the shot away. And the puck comes right back down for Curtis McElhinney. Oilers make a change, get their top line out there. Better Tootin to Jack Johnson. Johnson quickly up for Boone Jenner. He'll backhand it in. Nick Schultz gets there ahead of Mark Letestu. Nugent Hopkins stripped to the puck. Letestu then had it taken away by Nugent Hopkins. Nick Schultz lays it behind the net. Nugent Hopkins picks it up, avoids a bigger hit from Mark Letestu, but it's kept in. Here's Blake Como through traffic, and that one whistles wide. Johnson on the pinch. Johnson behind the net. Letestu for Como, too far for him. Schultz there. He gets knocked down by Como. Both players go down, and Hall struggles to get it out for Eberle. Back to Hall. Hall stood up at center by Letestu. Eberle carries on. Eberle shot, and right at the top and way out of his crease is Curtis McElhinney to make the save.
I think the battle level's gone up a little bit here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Good job by them down low to hem Edmonton in. But just before that, the fourth line, as you mentioned, Kevin, getting some more ice time in this game, leading 5-0, and they almost get on the board as Gazdic just backhand pass into the middle, and Acton has another good chance, and good step up right there by Letestu on Taylor Hall, the Elks Point, Alberta native. So Jordan Eberle swings in, picks it up, and gets a good shot through traffic towards McElhinney, who comes up with a save.
David Savard lays it around the boards. Beloff takes a hit, keep the puck in. Anisimov. Derek McKenzie chips it in against Justin Schultz. McKenzie checked, and it is Hamsky who will get it to Justin Schultz right out in front of his net. Makes the play to Yakupov. Crisscrossing with Hamsky. Ales Hamsky moving to the middle, and a good defensive play there by Nikita Nikitin. Schultz has it now. He'll play it back to Beloff. And offside is the call against Ales Hamsky. Todd Richards, 6th head coach in Columbus history, not happy with what's happening now. Outstanding play, outstanding results. Brought to you by RE/MAX. Outstanding agents, outstanding results.
Well, it's back in the first period. It made it 3-0 for Edmonton. Nice little passing play here. Hemsky down to Gagne. And watch this bat out of the air by Ryan Smith. For Gagne, knew he had to get it up over top of Murray. He did. And for Ryan Smith, where he's made his career in the blue paint, bangs it home.
And he gets his 19th career goal against the Columbus Blue Jackets in his 46th game. And the Oilers with a 5-0 lead. A power play that is a perfect 3 for 3. Ferentz and Petrie on the blue line. Nugent Hopkins comes back to help out. Nugent Hopkins, nice little pass to Taylor Hall. He'll outlet to Petrie. Petrie across the blue line. He's got Eberle in front. But Ryan Murray took it away from him. Wisniewski with it now. Wisniewski. Petrie gets there ahead of R.J. Umberger. Two top lines going head-to-head right now. Nugent Hopkins had the stick knocked out of his hands. Up the middle for Perron. He was checked by Johnson. McElhinney steers it to the corner. Johnson is there. Jack Johnson lays it up the boards, and it'll be Beloff picking it up in his own zone. 4:50 to go in the second period. 22-8. The shots favor the Oilers.
If you're looking for commercial insurance or risk management services, contact us to see what the power of insight can do for you.
Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's hockey game is Imperial Margarine.
Ryan Smith. David Perron. Justin Schultz activated. Perron to Schultz. Schultz scores! Justin Schultz back in the lineup. And he's got his second goal of the season. The Oilers have half a dozen.
And I think the growing's fine for Justin Schultz. Boy, did he ever get up in a hurry here on this run, all the way from the defensive zone off the face-off. And there's Schultz right there, a little pass to the outside. He knows there's an outnumbered rush, so what does he do? He gets up quickly and a perfect pass. Nice little pass by Smith to Perron, right on the tape of Schultz, and he zings it home for his second of the year. And what a welcome back addition for the Oilers as Schultz gets on the board in his first game.
His last game was October the 29th here against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Said he was getting sick of eating press box popcorn. He gets back in the lineup at a 15-25. The Oilers now have half a dozen goals. And David Perron with a 4-point night. And Ryan Smith, a 3-point effort so far. The Oilers, an explosion of offense. 4 goals against Calgary, 6 goals here against Columbus so far. Cam Atkinson drops it back for Feder Tootin. Steps into a slap shot, and that one missed on the near side. Jack Johnson pushed off the puck there by Luke Gazdic, and Gazdic gets that puck out to Joensuu. Dubinsky with it now. Dubinsky brings it in. He's got Jenner headed to the front of the net, plays it in behind, and there is Devan Dubnyk. 3 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the second period. Blake Como walks in. Blake Como still has it. And then Ferentz got a stick in the way. Letestu behind the net trying to center it. Ferentz breaks that up. And Ferentz plays it off the glass. Stopped by McKenzie. Letestu. Checked by Potter. Mark Letestu will give it to Derek McKenzie. McKenzie goes cross ice. Hard pass for David Savard. Savard. He and Nikitin are on the blue line. Nikitin with a wrist shot through traffic. Como looking for the rebound. He gets knocked down. Joensuu plays it off the glass and gets it down the ice.
I'll tell you, this line's been real good the last couple of shifts for Columbus, hemming Edmonton in, using their bodies on the contact. Letestu and McKenzie especially just being real physical, and Blake Como has a terrific chance in front after a nice little wrister by Nikitin. Gets in there, and for Dubnyk has to make that first big save. And he does.
Josephine Albinati of Grand Prairie, you've entered the Score and Win contest. You know that. But did you know you've won a Lagostina 10-piece stainless steel cookware set courtesy of Safeway and Imperial Margin? On the goal by Justin Schultz. Louis, we're going to run out of prizes. You got to go to the store, get some more prizes.
We'll find something to give away.
How about your truck? It's built more than that. Okay. Wisniewski at the blue line. Traffic in front, fires the puck in and hit his teammate R.J. Umberger. Ryan Murray at the point. The Columbus Blue Jackets with all kinds of pressure now. Umberger can't get the shot away. Joensuu comes back and knocks him down. And that will allow that fourth line to get off. Ryan Johansson moving in with Foligno. Checked by Yakupov. Here's Hemsky. He'll go to the middle to Yakupov. Nail Yakupov. Chips it in, chases it himself. McElhenney can't control that bouncing puck. And that allowed Hemsky to come in and get a shot away, or Nugent Hopkins did. And McElhenney made the save.
The Goals for Heroes program is proudly sponsored by Cenovus. For every Oilers goal this season, and there have been a lot of them, tonight Cenovus will donate $400 to Ballard Place Military Family Support House. To date, the Oilers have scored enough goals, 59 in total, for a donation total of $23,600.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins will be out there with Yakupov and Hemsky. Scramble draw, won by the Oilers, back to the point. Anton Belov takes it off his skate. Couldn't get a shot. Nugent-Hopkins ties up there with Feder Tootin. Anisimov plays it around the boards and is picked up by Jack Johnson. Johnson flips it in, comes right back out. A minute 47 left to go in the period. Anton Belov. Nugent-Hopkins waits to Yakupov. Trying to get away from Jared Bowl, probably a good idea. Yakupov again, pass to Belov. Belov's got Eberle with him. He chips it in. Eberle will give chase against Tootin. Eberle gets the puck, centers for Perron. Perron circles. David Perron can score from anywhere. Eberle behind the net. Anisimov intercepted that. He got it to Chaput, and Chaput content to send that puck down the ice. So now Hall, Eberle, and Perron, the forward line. Eberle got knocked down by David Savard as he went for the net. Schultz stopped by Boone Jenner with less than a minute to go in the period. Cam Atkinson has to be content with flipping it in. Schultz, he comes together with Brandon Dubinsky. Dubinsky ends up on his back, and Brandon Dubinsky is just to his knees now. Nikitin, side of the net, tipped away by Potter as Dubinsky slowly makes his way to the Columbus bench. Mark Letestu against Justin Schultz. Jenner, he stopped. Nikitin gets the puck at the blue line. Nikitin throws it in for Letestu. Around the boards it goes. There's Hall with 20 seconds left to go. A couple of opportunities for him to try and get it out. He'll play it to Justin Schultz, then get it back again, and he's got some room as the Columbus Blue Jackets make a change. Allows Hall to get it out with a nice move around Savard, but coming back was Blake Como. And that's going to be an icing call as the pass intended for Mark Letestu didn't connect.
And Brandon Dubinsky catching his wind here on the bench as he went in awkward. It looked like a lower body. As he comes in, makes contact with Justin Schultz. You can see the way he went awkwardly into the boards. That left leg was extended. The right kind of crumpled underneath him and got up a little gingerly and hobbled off, but did stay on the bench. And is getting looked at right now, and we'll watch to see if he's okay. I didn't see Nick Schultz out there on the bench for the Edmonton Oilers late in that period as well. We'll try and get an update on that.
Brad Fay, the Oilers got 3 goals in the first period. They matched that in the second period. They are a perfect 3 for 3 on the power play.
Well, the flag flying high tonight, and so it should be. The Edmonton Oilers only missing a point after attempt. Otherwise, it is a difference of 6 between the Oilers and the Blue Jackets at Rexall Place as the Oilers come out for a third period where they have a huge lead, something they have not been accustomed to. I just walked by Craig McTavish. Should I have said, wow, Craig, great trade with the St. Louis Blues?
It's funny because the bold moves that a lot of Oilers fans are waiting for, maybe some of those are yet to come. But the trade he made, David Perron for Magnus Barbie, it might not be a bold move, but it is a darn solid hockey trade for the Edmonton Oilers. This is the shot we showed you before the game. It's a Saturday night in Calgary. David Perron firing a puck at the net, getting rewarded for his efforts. You got to give the goalie a chance to blow one once in a while, folks. I think we've seen it on both ends of the ice. There's a tap in here for Perron. Perron leaves the Oilers in shots, and tell me if I'm wrong, Gene. He appears to have be the guy with the biggest nose for the net. He's firing from everywhere. The guy loves to score. He's putting it on net. That last goal, if they scored it on Dubnyk, Oil fan be saying bad goal. I'm looking at that. Looks like a pretty good shot to me.
Well, if there's one thing that I know, it is noses. I also know that Nail Yakupov, since all that hubbubaloo and everything went on, has come out and played great. Do you not think so?
Well, the whole thing was on him for me. Don't tell me you need more ice time. Show me why you deserve more ice time. We've got a guy really engaged in this hockey game. Look at him here fighting through a check. He gets knocked over, gets the 2-minute penalty. Jack Johnson's going to question how badly he's hurt here. Nail Yakupov's going to say, you know how badly I'm hurt? I'm only going to miss the first whistle on this power play, then I'm going to come out and score this goal. I like the fact that Nail Yakupov didn't go into a pout. He didn't go into a shell after that whole deal with his agent, Igor Larionov. He's come out and played his best hockey of the year. If you're a fan of this team, and if you're a fan of 64, that's what you want to see. He's taken this the right way.
Kevin and Louie.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Nail Yakupov, a goal and an assist. The Oilers scored 5 goals in Toronto in October and lost 6-5. They have passed that by 1. 6 goals so far this season. The third period is underway. The Oilers chased Sergei Bobrovsky, gave up 4 goals on 18 shots. Curtis McElhinney in relief. He's given up 2 goals on 6 shots. The Oilers held Washington to 20 shots back on October the 14th. Right now, the Blue Jackets have just 11.
And no surprise for Todd Richards starting the line that I think has been the best for the Blue Jackets, and that's McKenzie, Letestu, and Como, as they go out there and get a good chance of getting a puck to the net. And they've been buzzing.
Top line is up there now as Umberger shoots it in. Devin Dubnyk stops it up behind the net. Has time, makes a pass, but it goes right to R.J. Umberger. He'll play it back behind the net for Nick Foligno. Foligno to Johansson. He'll leave it for Umberger. Umberger, centering pass, goes straight off the stick of Belloff, right up into the air. And Ryan Smith, who has a goal and 2 assists tonight, along with David Perron's career-high 4 points. Don't forget about Nugent Hopkins. Louis got 2 helpers.
Yeah, he just kind of snuck those in the first 2 goals. So some big nights for a few Oilers down there. And it was only a matter of time before we saw a performance like this where they're breaking out. We know they had it in them, but goals have been hard to come by for this team, especially at home. When you look at the last 6 games at home here, only 3 goals for Edmonton. The dam's broken tonight.
And remember, they set a club record by getting shut out in 3 straight home games. All that is in the past as they've gotten 10 goals in their last 2 games. And this one's a long way from over. We played just 2 minutes into the third period. Oilers' next game, Florida on Thursday, a team that they defeated in Florida back in the early part of November. Taylor Hall goes cross ice. Jeff Petrie picks it up. Petrie gets around Nikitin and then takes a hard trip into the boards. And Jeff Petrie is slow to get up. And Nikitin is also limping. He's going to have to limp right over to the penalty box. But the concern right now is for Jeff Petrie.
Yeah, both of them went to the boards very hard as Nikitin just kind of dives to try and take the puck off Petrie's stick. He takes out Petrie, and then in the process rams himself into the board. So both big defensemen get up a little bit gingerly, but they look okay.
Let's take a look at our scoring summaries, Louis, brought to you by Warney Parsons Court.
Well, 3 goals in that first 20. Jordan Eberle, David Perron, and Ryan Smith in the second period. Edmonton carries that right over with 3 more. David Perron with the second of the game in 7th. Yakupov with another power play goal, 3 for 3 for Edmonton so far tonight. And Justin Schultz in his first game back after missing the last 8 with a pulled groin gets on the score sheet as well. This second goal of the year.
Boone Jenner is going to serve the penalty to Nikita Nikitin, who is still on the bench for the Columbus Blue Jackets, being attended to. And now Nikitin is going to head to the dressing room. So that's why we've got a stoppage, as Nikitin is going to limp his way to the dressing room. This is a team without Nathan Horton. This is a team without Marian Gaborik. Brandon Dubinsky, who was shaken up in the last period, is also now headed down the tunnel. And the Oilers on their 4th power play of the evening. 3 for 3. And generated just 5 shots to produce those 3 goals. Boyd Gordon dumps that puck in. McElhinney sees it go by him. Jack Johnson can't get it by Anton Belov. Belov waits for traffic, gives it to Ryan Smith. Smith to Perron. Perron, 2 goals on the night. As it's sent down the ice, and Devin Dubnyk will leave it there for Justin Schultz. Dale Yakupov hops over the boards. Here's Yakupov. Snaps a shot. McElhinney kicks it into the corner. Belov against Artem Anisimov. Anisimov wins that battle and sends the puck down the ice. Sam Gagner back to pick it up. Gagner with Hemsky and Yakupov. And it's Petrie and Potter on the line. Here comes Ales Hemsky. Hemsky trying to get around Murray. Back to the point. Corey Potter is there. He'll give it to Gagner. Quick snapshot right out in front. Then Yakupov tipped it just wide. Columbus Blue Jackets change up their penalty killers. Chaput and Como out there with Fedor Tutin and Jack Johnson. Petrie to Gagner. Gagner give it a bump as he centered it, and Como picks it up and he'll center it down the ice.
And Columbus has done a much better job in this penalty kill, not allowing Edmonton to set it up, really attacking them as they come over the line and denying them that possession entry where they can set it up and move the puck around. That's been so successful for them.
Taylor Hall with it now. He gets knocked down by Johnson. Andrew Ferentz keeps it into the point for Nick Schultz. Nick Schultz. Nugent Hopkins with Hall and Eberle. Hall spins, gets it to Nugent Hopkins. Ferentz is out in front. The puck comes to Johnson instead. Hall digging for it. It comes loose as Boone Jenner is out of the penalty box. The teams are at even strength, but for the first time, the Oilers denied on the power play. They're 3 for 4. 25 shots for the Oilers, 11 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Ferentz to an open wing. Eberle is there. He'll bounce that puck in. Hall on the turnover out in front for Acton, and Acton pays the price as he gets knocked down by Jared Boll. And Hall is headed to the bench with his hand over his mouth. Jesse Joensuu plays it off the glass. Murray will give it to his D partner, Wisniewski. Wisniewski, pick up, intended for Foligno. It got by him and Johansson. Back to the point now, playing it was Murray over to what he thought was the position Wisniewski was going to be in. He wasn't home. Boll back into his own zone as the Oilers make a change. Murray will give it to Wisniewski. Wisniewski to Foligno. Foligno will just backhand it in slowly as he wants to get a change in. Columbus will be in Calgary tomorrow and then into Vancouver on Friday. Letestu snaps a shot that goes wide. Cam Atkinson looking for Letestu behind the net, gets by him. Here's David Perron. Nikita Nikitin back on the ice for the Columbus Blue Jackets, but they don't have David Dubinsky, or Brandon Dubinsky. Beloff being watched by Atkinson. Justin Schultz to Perron. Little help to Gagne, to Smith. Perron. He is going to circle back, and the Oilers will reset. Potter fires a long shot onto McElhenney, and with Hemsky bearing down on him, decides to hang on to it. It's Rogers Oilers hockey, and it's right here at Rexall Place.
The second game of the Subway Super Series is tomorrow night as the Russian All-Stars take on the best from the QMJHL. In the opener last night, the Quebec Stars won 3-2. Over the next 10 days, the Ontario and Western Hockey League All-Stars will be playing against the Russian team. Tomorrow's telecast is at 5 p.m. Mountain on Sportsnet West, Pacific East, and Ontario.
Right here, Gene, 11:36 to go in the third period. The Oilers with a 6-0 lead in the first of two this month against the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Oilers will be there on the 29th, and so will we. Blake Como works his way to center. Off the end of the stick of Artem Anisimov. Hemsky dumps it in. There is Nikitin given a shot there by Hemsky. Corey Potter pinches in. Gagne with it now. Sam Gagne. Love to get on the score sheet with a goal. He's still looking for his first of the year. Nick Schultz plays it in slowly. And the Oilers get a change as Como brings it out. And he'll give it to Derek McKenzie. McKenzie fires the puck around the boards. Como waiting for it. Bumps into Nick Schultz. Picked up by Nugent Hopkins. And he will give it to Eberle, who goes cross ice for Hall. Hall stopped by Ryan Murray. Reese Ferentz gets there first. Can't get it by Boone Jenner, though. Now Petrie works it out against Chaput. Eberle stops up. Spins against Wisniewski. Wisniewski hauls him down. Play continues. Back to the point. Ferentz with a shot. Hall providing the screen. Tied loose. 6-0. Let him play.
Absolutely. And a good shot there by Ferentz with a nice screen by Hall in front. Tried to do a little redirection with the backhand, but missed it. But you like seeing the top line. That's the place you have to go if you want to score goals. Getting in front, allowing the defense to have a target at the net. And for Ferentz, he took it.
And Taylor Hall is trying to join this scoring party. Kind of different with a 6-0 lead.
He's had his chances. He's been buzzing all around the net. And could have drawn a few penalties tonight, but has been active.
So is this guy, David Perron. Perron goes cross ice. Schultz fires it. And that goes on and deflects off the crossbar. Almost made it lucky 7. Foligno. Johansson trying to get it back to him. Couldn't do it. Smith and Johnson come together at the end of Smith's shift. Ryan Johansson. Foligno up the middle off the end of his stick. Right to Devin Dubnyk. He will hang on and cover up.
It's game day at Hudson's. Half off wings and pints of Molson Canadian every time Edmonton plays. All day long. Hudson's, Canada's pub.
Well, Kevin, as you mentioned, David Perron having one of those nights, just a perfect sauce through a lot of traffic right to Justin Schultz. And for Ryan Smith, just through the legs of the defender, following this puck all the way, deflects, and right there just ticks off the crossbar. Almost picks up his second goal of the game.
Ryan Smith with a goal and 2 assists so far tonight. Jared Boll with a puck now. He'll play it behind the net. Boone Jenner. Got Artem Anisimov out in front. He'll play it back to the point. Nikitin lets it go. A hard shot that is blocked before it gets through. Picked up by Will Acton. Acton bumped by Nikitin. Savard. Anisimov, he was tied up there by Nick Schultz before he could do anything. Flipped into McElhenney, and he'll hang on to it. Well, on behalf of the Safeway and Imperial Margarine, Lori Hott of Edmonton has got a $250 gift card from Visions Electronics by playing Score and Win. Congratulations to you, Lori. And that's because of the goal by Justin Schultz at 15:25 of the second period.
Happy kid right there, missing it. The last 8 games of the growing strain, comes back in and provides a little offensive punch with his second goal of the year.
Opportunity for Hemsky, blocked by Wisniewski. Como chips and chases against Andrew Ferentz. Gagne on the far side. Look at Yakupov flying. Nail Yakupov moving in against Murray. 1 versus 2. Gagne couldn't get the shot away. Now he has a chance. Oh, what a save by McElhinney. As he absolutely robs Sam Gagne.
Well, that's when you know the luck might not be going your way for Sam Gagne. As you mentioned just a little earlier, looking for his first goal of the year in his 10th game and still wearing that face shield for the broken jaw he suffered in exhibition. Picks up the puck. And boy, talk about staying with it here for McElhinney. He makes the toe save right there with the right pad and just lunges back with the blocker arm to deny Sam Gagne of his first goal. He looks up at the clock and goes, "You got to be kidding me."
He has not scored in his last 21 games coming into this one. And he came oh so close there. Save of the game for Curtis McElhinney.
But again, that line showing some chemistry, Kevin. Good little drive there wide by Yakupov. Little delay, finds Hemsky, and it was Gagne with a high-quality chance. Creating chances down there. That trio.
Rogers Oilers hockey right here on Sportsnet.
Safeway today, and you could be our next lucky winner. Watch future Sportsnet telecasts. You could win a week of unlimited luxury at Dreams Resorts and Spas, courtesy of redtag.ca.
Our statsman, Paul E. Dangerously, has the chances for the Oilers. 17 for the Columbus Blue Jackets, 5. And Louis, as you know, Paulie's never wrong. Ever. Oh, goes cross ice. Ryan Johansson picks it up. They'll backhand it in. Nick Schultz against R.J. Umberger behind the net. Johansson piles in. It's a big kid, 230 pounds. Gets a backhand away that goes through the blue paint. Jared Bowl back to the point to Nikitin. Gets it right back again. Sweeps it towards the net, deflected behind the cage. And it's picked up there by Corey Potter. He'll play it off the boards. That puck was gloved ahead by David Savard. We get a whistle.
And you mentioned Ryan Johansson, you know, the way that he's played this year. It's amazing what a little bit of confidence does. And for Todd Richards, you know, talking about the 21-year-old, the way he's played this year, a two-way game, 4th overall in 2010. So it took him a couple of years to kind of get adjusted and used to the National Hockey League. But for Todd Richards, he likes the consistency that he's played with this year and wants to see him carry that forward. Obviously not the night tonight for the Columbus Blue Jackets, but Johansson's created some good chances.
5 points in his last 5 games coming into this one. Had a goal and an assist in Ottawa. Power play goal, his first of the year, but nothing for the Columbus Blue Jackets here tonight. Atkinson will backhand it in. Jenner. Artem Anisimov back to the point. Ryan Murray in his skates, then he will flip it in. Jenner against Ferentz. Boone Jenner back to the point. Stepped into a shot, did Murray. And Devin Dubnyk saw it all the way. And then Ferentz and Jenner continue their back and forth as they tie up in the blue paint.
And Boone Jenner, a big body as well. I like the way he's played this game. You've talked about him a lot in this game because of the way he's played. A youngster in his first year of pro hockey after 4 years in Oshawa, the Ontario Hockey League. And he just kind of drives through, a little bit frustrated, obviously pounds through, and Andrew Ferentz protecting the blue paint. Little headlock right there.
Ferentz got his first fighting major against Calgary as he fought Lee Stempniak in that game on Saturday. Back to the point, Tootin shot, but Devin Dubnyk saw it all the way. And makes another save. 13 shots now for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets got 4 goals in Ottawa. That was the 5th time they have scored 4 goals. Not going to get that way tonight. The last time they were here, they got 4 goals, but that was back on March 28th. Yakupov flying down the wing. Jack Johnson watching him as they've had a bit of a feud. There's Gagne from a sharp angle. Why not? McElhinney got a piece, and it goes up into the netting.
Yeah, he saw his teammate David Perron score a goal very similar on Bobrovsky when he was in the net. But here at McElhinney, he tries the same shot from a different angle, but very sharp. And he sees that McElhinney gets down quickly to kind of protect the post. When you see a goalie down, you know you got some space up above, and I'll tell you, he almost slipped that one in there. So a good shot there.
And look at what Sam Gagner has done against this Blue Jackets squad. This is his 23rd career game against the Blue.
Yeah, and he's got 21 points, I believe, now with an assist tonight in this game. So a team he likes to play against, and he had a good season last year with 5 points against them.
Won't have to wait too long. November 29th. There's the next game. The Oilers trying to improve their record against the Eastern Conference. They are 4-9-1 so far this season. They'll get another Eastern opponent on Thursday when the Florida Panthers come to town. Florida is in Vancouver tonight. And then the Chicago Blackhawks will be here on Monday. Hamburger's long shot goes wide. Foligno on the far side. He'll play it behind the net. Nick Schultz sends it around the boards for Taylor Hall. Savard stepping up. Hall has it now. Looks for it in front of the bench. Foligno there. Knocks him down and brings it in. With Hamburger and Johansson. Foligno centering pass. Everly deflected it away. Johansson could not get the shot. Nugent Hopkins, good defensive job there, but the Blue Jackets keeping the Oilers hemmed in their own zone. Everly will flip that down the ice. It's got to be frustrating for offensive guys in a night like this. You get a shift where you're staying in your own end. You want to get on the board.
Yeah, I think right now the team should be playing for their goaltender, Devin Dubnyk, and take pride in the defensive zone.
There's a shot that whistles wide from Ryan Murray. Wisniewski couldn't get it by Luke Gazdic. Gazdic, Joensuu, and Acton, the fourth line, getting a lot of opportunity in this game.
But I wasn't an offensive guy. That's how I would have been thinking anyway.
Murray again, slap pass. Jenner's shot, stopped by Devin Dubnyk.
That was a hard shot, too. Did he ever zing that? Good read there by Devin Dubnyk on that cross-seam pass.
That's what happened to Bobrovsky against Ottawa. He had the shutout going until a 5-on-3 goal made it a 4-1 final. 5 minutes, 47 seconds left to go in regulation time. Belloff sidesteps a check. Johnson has to wait, just flips it in, and it's picked off there by Boyd Gordon. He'll give it to Smith. Ryan Smith moving in against Johnson. Gets shoved down by number 7. Perron, though, carries on. David Perron into the boards and knocked down by Blake Como. Gordon intercepts that pass. He'll give it back to Anton Belloff. Belloff, intense. Play it back to Justin Schultz. No hurry for the Oilers with 5:09 left to go in regulation time. Perron tips it in. His line is going to change. Hemsky with Yakupov and Gagner. Letestu gets there first. He'll give it to Foligno. Foligno for Letestu. Hemsky knocks down Nick Foligno and strips him the puck. And it's sent down the ice, and it's going to go right to Curtis McElhinney. And he is going to hang on to it with Yakupov on the doorstep. Good defensive play there by Ales Hemsky. Devin Dubnyk has faced 14 Blue Jacket shots so far with 4:34 to go. The play of the game is brought to you by Rogers, bringing fans the fastest speeds in more places. Rogers LTE.
Well, I believe it was the straw that broke the camel's back for the Columbus Blue Jackets in this one tonight. It was a fourth goal of the game, and for David Perron, he just takes the puck and zings it up over top of the shoulder of Bobrovsky. We didn't see him after that as he was pulled for McElhinney. It was Perron's second of the game and 7th of the season. And that was the play of the game.
4 points on the night for number 57, a career high for him. And a season high for the Oilers in offense, 6 goals. Let's take a look at our game review brought to you by The Brick. Nobody beats The Brick for furniture, mattresses, appliances, and those big screen TVs.
Well, as you mentioned, 4 goals in Calgary on Saturday night in the third period and 6 in this one tonight so far, so 10 in the last 4 periods. 3 power play goals in their first 3 opportunities, and for the Columbus Blue Jackets, the woes continue in here as it looks like they're going to lose their 6th straight at Rexall Place.
3-4-2 as the night started on the road. Gagne, Yakupov, and Hemsky. Here's Yakupov, back to Hemsky. Back to the point. Nick Schultz waiting for it there. He'll give it back to Hemsky. Walks the line, throws it into the corner. And Nikitin is there. And there is Hemsky on the intercept. Yakupov snaps a shot, and McElhinney makes the save. Yakupov can fire the puck.
That was a zinger right there. Good save by McElhinney.
31 shots the Oilers have so far in this game. They had 23 in that game against Calgary. Nugent Hopkins to Hall. Hall shot doesn't make it through. Nugent Hopkins carries on. He'll give it to Eberle. Eberle to Nugent Hopkins off his stick, and Derek McKenzie starts back the other way. He's got Blake Como with him. McKenzie lost an edge, an opportunity now for Hall. Moving in. Here is Taylor Hall. He scores. Taylor Hall didn't get all of it, but he got enough of it. It's 7-0.
And what a pass to find Taylor Hall up the ice here on a little bit of a breakdown for Columbus coming into the zone. Good defensive play to Hall at the line as McKenzie tries to stop. The good pressure there by Ference. And for Eberle, he just throws it right up the boards onto the tape of Taylor Hall, who's there. He looks up, he sees him, and he's got a lot of time to decide what he's going to do. And he fans on this shot, and sometimes that's the best shot. Because for McElhinney, he's been pretty sharp in there. He read this, but that little fluky one there for Taylor Hall. He's been sniffing all night, and he finally gets rewarded.
And Jordan Eberle gets another point. He got things started with a goal at 2:37 of the first period. And now he gets an assist on the goal by Taylor Hall. Give Taylor Hall a half a dozen of the year. And now 6 points in his 7th game back since injuring that knee. The Oilers have 7 goals and are going to blow up that losing streak here at home.
Luke Gaston overdue, Kevin. Sorry for this Edmonton team to find that offensive game, and especially here at Rexall.
Luke Gaston pushes it to the corner. Jared Bowl is there. He is given a bump by Joensuu. 2 minutes, 12 seconds left to go in regulation time. Beloff flattens Johansson. Justin Schultz with some room up the middle. Schultz takes his time. He gets it to Gagne. Gagne on the move down the right side. Cuts to the middle. Dishes to Yakupov. Yakupov centers it out in front. And it's picked up there by Nikitin. To Blake Como. Como by himself. The Columbus Blue Jackets making changes. He'll throw it around the boards. Waiting for it. Artem Anisimov. Anisimov stops, lets a shot go. That rises over top of the net. Gagne on the far side. Here's Ales Hemsky against Murray. Gets that puck in deep. Wisniewski plays it around the boards. Picked off by Corey Potter. Potter goes cross ice to Hall. Hall waits. Down low for Hemsky. Quick shot by Hall. And that one goes up and over. Potter on the far side. He'll play it around behind the net. Nugent Hopkins waiting for it. Nugent Hopkins works it out in front himself. Wisniewski to Jenner. Now to Como. Less than a minute to go. Corey Potter back into his own zone. He'll give it to Nick Schultz. Folks here at Rexall Place cheering. And a welcome sound for the Edmonton Oilers, who had been booed off the ice the last couple of games. Ference to Hall. Hall across the blue line. Eberle sees it go by him. Jared Bowl is there. He'll work it out. 27 seconds to go. The folks here in Rexall are standing, cheering the Oilers to their 2nd win at home. Jack Johnson at the point. He'll give it to Jared Bowl. Bowl stopped as he tried to get to the net by Nugent Hopkins. Ference behind the net. The Oilers want to shut it down right here with 5 seconds to go. Luke Gaston, last touch. And the Oilers Devin Dubnyk, his first shutout of the season, the 7th of his career. His 7th win against the Columbus Blue Jackets. He got a ton of offense. In fact, he got all the offense he needed in the first 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Well, our next score and win winner, courtesy of Safeway and Imperial Margarine, is Ron Smith of Fort McMurray, has won the Bradley Original Electric Smoker. And that is on the goal by Taylor Hall, the only goal of the third period. The Oilers, with a huge win here at home, defeat the Columbus Blue Jackets by the score of 7-0.
Rogers Oilers Hockey on